I'd like to call the meeting to order. Our first item is the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Mr. Mosel, will you read our mission statement?
The mission of the Marshall Public School District is to educate, support, and prepare all learners for success.
Thank you. Our next item is approval of the agenda.
Motion to approve.
Second.
Motion by Bill Mosel and seconded by Bill Swope to approve the agenda. Any further discussion or changes? If not, I'll call for the vote. And the agenda is approved. Our next item is our Tiger Spotlight. Just a little background on this. This is brand new to us. This came from my daughter is a second grade teacher in Anoka Hennepin School District. And their district, which is the largest school district in the state of Minnesota, recognizes students on a monthly basis for achievement or for improved behavior or just about anything. They just recognize students and bring them and their families to the school board. So I suggested this to Jeremy and Beth, I don't know, last summer or
It was a
sometime.
while ago, yeah.
So we're going to start that tonight. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to read each of the kids' bio. I'll call it a bio, I guess. And when I read your name, could you just stand? And then at the very end, you and your family stand. And then at the very end, we'll have you all come up and we'll take a picture. Okay. The first one is Jace Winsel. Jace was selected as the Star Writer of the Month. Jace was so excited to get the opportunity to write about one of his favorite things, his dogs. He knew exactly what he wanted to write and was able to get his thoughts down on the paper. One of the many reasons I chose Jace's writing for my Star Writing for the month of September was because of his great handwriting. We are working really hard at the beginning of the year to form letters correctly, and Jace did just that. In addition, Jace did a great job of making sure he had capital letters at the beginning, punctuation at the end, and appropriate spacing between the words. Jace is on his way to continue to be a great writer this year. Way to go, Jace.
We should applaud.
Dylan Castillo. Hi, Dylan. Dylan is the true definition of Tiger pride, inside and outside of the classroom. There have been countless times where Dylan can be seen holding a door, picking up an item, or giving a smile to someone throughout the school. Dylan comes to school each day with a positive, hard-working attitude. We are so proud of the kindness and perseverance he shows every single day. Keep up the great work, Dylan. Awesome. I see that smile, Dylan. Danica Miller. Danica is a student that shows Tiger pride daily. She is incredibly hardworking and more than willing to help others. She is willing to work with anyone and is a very helpful student. She always comes to her classes prepared and is very respectful to her classmates and teachers. It is an honor to get to nominate her for the Tiger Spotlight. She is going to achieve great things.
Awesome.
Ella Sinetti. Did I pronounce your last name right?
Yes.
Okay. Ella is an amazing ambassador for new students to enroll to Maytech. She is friendly, helpful, and kind to everyone she meets or encounters. She takes charge of our student council and helps to plan a variety of events at Maytech to incorporate a positive environment and fun in our learning day. Ellen goes above and beyond to help not only her peers but also the staff. She cares deeply about others, and it shows how she interacts with every person at school. She works hard in her academics and sets goals with high expectations for herself and doesn't stop until she reaches them. We are grateful to have Ella as one of our student leaders. And the last one is Carlos Ulola, and he is not able to attend tonight. Carlos's attendance has improved significantly, and his teachers report that he is much more engaged. He is currently passing all of his classes and has no missing assignments.
Awesome.
So
So students, if you'll come up front, we have a certificate for you, and we're going to take a picture of you that we want to share. We're very proud of each of you and glad you could be with us tonight. How are you going to do it, Emily? You can go
I'm
there.
just gonna have you guys stand right up against here. Well, you guys can
Oh, you
be
want
on
us to be here?
Stay there.
Okay.
Funny years.
Jace. There you go. Congratulations. Dylan. Congratulations. Danica. Stella. Nope.
Perfect.
All right. Congratulations. And families, you're welcome to stay for the whole meeting if you wish, but if you'd like to go home and do supper, you're welcome to do that as well. I do see a couple of teachers made nominations in the back too. Thank you for nominating these kids.
Yeah,
This is fun.
Thank you.
Same for you guys. You guys can
Thank
stay
you.
if you want, or you can leave if you want to.
You guys three up here have to stay.
Right. You guys can.
I said I'm going for this round.
The next item is our public forum. Is there anybody from the public want to approach the board? Item number 7, a presentation, the Marshall Alternative Learning Center Building Project Update. Welcome Cliff, Gary, and Kim.
Yeah. We don't have certificates for you guys, though.
Yeah. I just wanted to say that was one of the neatest things I've seen in a long time. So congratulations. I think that was a great reminder of why we all are here. It's also a great reminder why we are here tonight in this presentation. I just wanted to say a couple things quickly. We started this work in 2016, and one of our building blocks was to try and collaborate as much as we could, and we have had great success working with Marshall Public Schools, SMSU, and the co-op in making this project a reality. And we just think part of the reason was we think we benefit when we work together. And so, for example, in this project alone, we figure there's about 20% of the total square footage is shared space. And so that's a good way to create efficiencies around these two programs coming together at SMSU. We know that we each have space needs. We think this is going to solve that. In fact, we know it's going to solve that. And I'm going to turn this over to, I think Gary's going to share some information, very specific information about the site, where we're at, and where we're going. This time next year, we can actually have your board meeting out at the new location if we want. So I'll share a little further.
Nice.
So, Gary?
Yeah, maybe if you could advance a couple slides.
Yep.
There you go. So, as you're aware, the project's located at SMSU. It's on the north end of the campus, in what's currently known today as the Social Science Building. And as Cliff said, in a year from now, it'll have a whole different name. But it has truly been a great collaboration with Marshall Public Schools staff, with the IT folks, with the teachers from Maytech. They've been really involved in helping work through some conversations about everything from parking to how the space is used. So with the overall site plan, the lease actually allows for 50% of the east parking lot. And we've identified the parking lot as being staff for SWWC and Marshall for the Maytech staff. In the east parking lot, there's an entry on the south side of the social science buildings that both groups will use to enter the facility. The north parking lot, that will be accessed primarily for students and for visitors and for adult basic ed students will participate in that. For those that have been out to the campus, right now the lot is gravel. And there's a drop off right at the north entry doors. So when we go out to bid with our base bid, we're gonna pave the area, the drop off area, so the students can, get out of the vehicles and so on onto a nice, paved surface rather than jump through the mud to get in the building. But the parking lot itself will be gravel, but we are looking at an alternate cost to see what that would cost and see how the bids come in, if we can afford that. But all the student entry primarily is on the north side. SWWC will be coming in the east entry. ABE and the Alternative Learning Center students will be coming in on the west entry on the north side of the building. There's also a playground that'll be integrated into the space. The sketch doesn't show all the trees around it, but it's located in the open area, screened by the trees. It's really a K through 8 playground. It's intended more for elementary and middle school students. Again, the great thing about this site is it's immediate adjacency across Highway 23 to your high school campus and the vast sort of open space and natural area of the campus and the west environmental area adjacent to the site as well. So we can probably go to the next slide. The building has a basement. We really have no access to the basement. It's non-leased space, but we're showing it to you because it is part of the building support for the overall facility. And then we can go to the first floor plan. So SWWC will be entering on the east entry on the north side of the building. There's a safe and secure entry system for students to come into the facility and for visitors and parents, staff as well. The south entry where there's the sort of ochre color, that will be the staff entry, so they'll be able to, SWWC will be able to walk right into their space, and then the Alternative Learning Center, they'll be able to go straight up to the second floor. On the left side of the diagram, all the ochre color is all the shared space. So there's a recreation space, a cafeteria, and a new serving area that we're building in the existing dance studio. So it'll be a tall open space. There'll be a basketball hoop in there that is adjustable for various skill levels and age levels. The two major pieces on this floor are really project discovery and a life skills space, which is down next to the linkway attached to the rest of the campus. Everyone will have access to that, so SWWC and their member districts will have access, and then the ALC will have access to those spaces as well. And then on the opposite end of that sort of center core area, there will be a shared nurse's office as well. So that'll be a space that both the ELC and the ALC can share. There are some new accessible toilets going into the shared space. And the west entry also has a secure vestibule, so we have a safe and secure entry system leading into the ALC. The ALC's main desk will be at the top of the stairs. We'll get to that in just a second here. But they'll be able to visually see through cameras who's in the building, who can get access. And so the whole building is really, a secured space for the students and staff. It should be a good, safe environment. The second floor, the ochre color on the south side is a shared lounge area, workspace for not students, but for staff. And then a small conference area. We are remodeling one of the classrooms to accommodate a new principal's office and a conference space. For the most part, other than the accessibility improvements and on the first floor for SWWC, the single-use restrooms that are necessary for the students, most of the project is being taken as is. We've worked very hard to be respectful of the resources that are available. And I think that's where the great collaboration has come in. Everyone's really understood where we're at and how we can keep the project as lean as possible. And again, I think with the ochre color that you've seen, I think the real benefit, as Cliff had pointed out, really is that collaboration and that shared space. So we're really looking at over 20% of that as shared space, which individually you'd each have to have those spaces anyway. So it works out very well to have those shared. So with that, I'll turn it over to Kim that can touch on the schedule.
Good evening. So schedule-wise, in September, the social science building's completely vacated. So the SMSU and the staff and facility group have vacated that facility, so it's ready. The construction documents have been completed and been reviewed by the project team. So Hay Dobbs and Gary and his group has done an excellent job with that. It's been submitted. The documents have been submitted to DLI for a plan review, so we're in the queue there. We'll issue documents for bidding here on the 23rd of October. Next piece on a chronological order here is that we're working on the final exhibits for the lease. So we're working with Min-State. So there are about 3 or 4 just exhibits that we need to provide. We submitted those a couple weeks ago. We expect that that'll all get approved. So then our lease for that facility will be 100% approved by Min-State. It'll be ready for SWWC board to then approve that lease. Then we'll move into November. We'll do a pre-bid contractor walkthrough on the 1st. And then our actual bid opening is November 16th. We'll review all of that information, tabulate everything. And then we'll be making a recommendation and notice to proceed for SWWC on the main part. And then we'll look for Marshall Public Schools at the December board meeting to approve the sublease for their portion of the space. And then we're looking for a pre-start of construction to do demolition in December with an actual start of construction in January. Both of those timelines are contingent on full DLI approval. We're in the queue. We've been working through some different questions already, whether it's plumbing or what have you. So we're cautiously optimistic that that'll be a appropriate timeline for us, that we can actually start the construction there in January, and then we would be looking at a substantial completion mid-July. Any questions?
Very good. We're excited about the project, and these guys have been great to work with. So I feel we're off to a good start, and I agree the collaboration piece is huge. That's going to make this work for both of us because we both need something, and we can do this together. We did laugh a little bit. We're going to have the ALC and the ELC right next to the ILC on campus. It won't be confusing for anybody.
Not at all. Not at all.
Well, very good. Thank you very much.
Thanks, you guys.
Well, well done. Thank you.
our next presentation, Amplify Your Impact. Welcome, Peter, Paula, and Darcy. Almost said Peter, Paul, and Mary.
That's what I thought you were going to say.
So is Darcy really going to dance? Because I might.
You might want to stay for that. All right. Well, thanks for having us. We're excited to share all of the fun things that are going on in our buildings and all the work we've been doing. So we're each just going to kind of talk a little bit about our school improvement plans and ways that we want to amplify our impact for the upcoming school year. And so for Parkside, I was waiting for it to magically advance. Doesn't work like that. There we go. So the areas that we're kind of focusing on for this year is literacy, the READ Act, and our social emotional learning component. And so I just wanted to take some time to talk. What I'm very passionate about, obviously, is assuring that all of our kids are able to read. One of the former secretaries of education, Arnie Duncan, said that literacy is, what was the quote again? Now it's gone.
Amazing.
It is. But it's the great equalizer. So education is the great equalizer, and I would take that one step further to say teaching a child to read is really what is the equalizer. There are so many things that we do not have control of. We don't have control over their socioeconomic status. We don't have control over the ACEs that they experience every day. But what we can do for every child is give them the tools to be literate so that they can be successful moving forward as adults. And so the state has spent quite a bit of legislative time, energy, effort in updating our literacy policies. And so our proficiency no later than third grade is now known as the READ Act. And so there was a lot of legislation that took place this year. One of those being that rather than waiting to third grade, as they want every child reading at the end of every grade level, because we know once they get to third and fourth grade, it's going to be very difficult to ever get them caught up. The statistics, once they get to third and fourth grade, the likelihood that they'll ever read at grade level is very small. So with that said, last year I spoke with you all about the work we were doing, and we were focusing mostly on that word recognition piece on the decoding. If you remember, we talked about the simple view of reading last year, and so reading really is a matter of decoding, being able to take the words and make sense of them, and then our language, understanding, vocabulary, background knowledge, that type of thing. So it's just a multiplication problem. So if you are not able to decode, but you can still speak English, 0 times 1 is still 0. So that is our reading comprehension. So we have to be able to decode the words, and we also have to be able to understand the language in order to get reading comprehension. So last year we spent a lot of time on our decoding. We implemented DIBELS, we implemented Really Great Reading and Heggerty, and we saw incredible growth with our students in their foundational skills, really solidified their letter knowledge, their ability to look at words and read them automatically. So we made great growth there. So this year we want to move into the other strands of that reading rope. So when we talk about language comprehension, what does that mean? That means having the background knowledge, the vocabulary, knowing the language structure, verbal reasoning, and literacy knowledge. And so that's really the areas of focus that we're working on this year. One of the big things our teachers are working on is called interactive read-alouds. We've always done them, and so what it involves is just reading a book to students. And so this year we've really expanded that, and we're very purposeful and intentional. So we might take this book and read it over 5 days. So they would maybe read it the first time and just enjoy the book. But then the next time they read it, we might dig in deeper and look at the vocabulary, look at the tricky language. So for example, there was a page in here that says, it's right here. Made by the duck who scoops up a pipkin of salt and tips it just enough. A lot of our kids wouldn't know what a pipkin of salt is. And so we would spend some time talking about that's kind of a tricky language. What do you think that means? And so really just digging into that book and creating more background knowledge, helping them better understand the vocabulary of the book, and then just that overall comprehension. And so our teachers have a form that they use. They teach the standards through reading those books. So like this one is answering who, what, when, where, and why questions, asking and answering questions. And then they also will have like an extension activities. So for this one, they all made pumpkin soup. Each class made pumpkin soup and sampled it, and it was a lot of fun. And then they also do like a writing activity. So they'll have a writing prompt, and like this one is, my favorite soup is, or I do not like pumpkin soup because. So after they had pumpkin soup, then they would write about that activity. So really just trying to, again, increase that background knowledge, vocabulary, understanding language and how it's written, that kind of thing. And then we're also spending some time on really developing our writing. And so that's where our student spotlight comes from. And I wrote about that in my board report. So we have a star writer that's chosen every week or every month. And they get to be on the board outside at Parkside, which is kind of exciting. And they have this little stuffed star that I bought, and it turns on and it like sparkles. And they think that the star watches them write. So it's kind of like an elf on the shelf, but it's a star. But it's really fun. So then I come in on that Monday and I announce who the star told me was the star writer, because the star is always watching. So that's kind of fun. So really that's our areas of focus for this year. Our teachers are just knocking it out of the park. I mean, it's hard work. It's a lot of work. It's a lot of rethinking and relearning, but they're doing a great job. So, yeah.
I love that you did an interactive read aloud with the board too. Let's see what Pete does.
All right. So I want to thank Darcy for all her work at Parkside, because that definitely flows into my building. And just the last couple of years, I've been able to see my kids go through. Mike is a fourth grader. He's one of the first groups to kind of get that fluency, not fluency, but phonemic awareness and the phonics and the really great reading. And so it's really fun to see that group go through. I also have a second grader who's kind of wasn't the first initial group to go through, but somebody that has, teachers that have had a couple of years with it. So it's really neat to see that. At our building, our teachers are super excited about just learning on how they can meet the needs of the kids. And so all of our classroom teachers have had training, but our title teachers, our EL teachers, our SPED teachers are coming to us and saying, hey, we need more. So when we have data meetings, at first I thought, hey, is this too much for us to go to them and say, we need to train you on what each classroom is doing? We said, we're gonna have data meetings, and they came ready. And they kept on saying, hey, whatever you have, give us. So the last month and a half, our instructional coach has been doing after-school meetings and talking through what UFly is and what really great reading is and what 95% is, and making sure that all of our SPED teachers understand that, all of our EL teachers understand that. So this fall, one of my focuses is to create a school-wide map, like a pacing guide, because I want our specialists to work on exactly what they're working on in the classroom and not something different. We don't want to confuse the kids. We want to use the same terminology. We want to use the same curriculum. We want to just give all the kids a double dose. So that's the big focus for us. And like I said, my staff have not been resistant at all. They've been really on board and happy to attend those. I am really thankful for our instructional coach and her leadership in leading those. The other piece I put up there is our guided math. Last year, we really pushed for guided math and really meeting the kids where they're at. Our math team has come forward and said, hey, we need to refine this even more. And so this fall, I'm really going into PLCs and talking about within a math lesson, what are the essentials that we have to have in every single math lesson? Now that we've got different groups and meet kids at different levels, what can we do within our core instructions so that we're meeting all the different kids? Last year, we also had the Carey Institute from U of M come and do an observation. And one of the things they said was we need to expose our kids to different modalities. we need to assess in different ways. And so we're pushing that as well. Some of our math teachers came and said, hey, Pete, would it be possible for us to go visit a school that has similar demographics like we do at Southview that are doing better scores-wise than we are? And I think that's a great idea. And I'd like to really push that going forward as well. SEL is a big piece of what we do at Southview. Heather Bigler leads that group with Bob Jacobson and Jen High, who are part-time. But they each take a grade level, and they meet with kids one-on-one, one-on-two, small groups. But they do see all the students within our school. And the focus on just building relationships, I feel like they have somebody they can go to, whether it's their classroom teacher, their SL teacher, or just an adult within our building. And then just the last piece I'm going to talk about is just the BAR implementation this year. I feel like we do a lot of great things, but they're all kind of in their own little different ways. I think of my calendar on a weekly basis and how many different meetings I have. I'm really excited to see how BAR can kind of pull all that together so that I don't have a separate student assistance team meeting versus a team meeting versus a counselor's and nurse meeting. I want all those to kind of gel together. And so I think BAR is going to help us do that.
Hello, everyone. So we have kind of the same focuses as the other two buildings as well. We want to try to prepare for the legislative change next year for all reading at grade level. So what our goal is for second semester, we want to start screening our students with the Dibble screener. So before that, we want to have some training with our teachers for that so they know what to do so that we can start training some of them. So that next year, it's not going to be such an overwhelming task with that. And then also, of course, we're starting to look in with the literacy committee how we're going to get all of our staff trained with the science of reading. Of course, like everybody, we want to work on closing that achievement gap. And how we're going to do that with their increased growth and proficiency is we are trying to differentiate more each year. So that has been our goal the last couple of years, even more now, differentiating in the regular classroom to provide for the range of abilities in all of our classes, not just math, not just language arts, but in all of them. And with that this year, you know, we're ever changing the schedule and we're always trying to improve to provide for those things that we need for the students for further support. So this year we added reading and math focus groups, which is a class that the intent is to look at the data every single quarter. And if need be, a student could stay in that course or that class for more than one quarter or the whole year even, but to rotate out if they do not need that. To move to a different course, or if another student, say third quarter or even second quarter, needs to be in, that they do that movement as well. So that's looking at the data, but also the input and conversation with those teachers and the grade level gen ed teachers as well, to give added support for that. I think that goes hand in hand with our focus this year with PLC Light versus Right as well, looking at that data and those common assessments to help improve our instruction. So with that, we do have SEL as well, and you approved the addition of the SEL teacher in our building last year. That's been really great. Not only does he coordinate the SEL program second step, but Mr. Hoppy does meet with students on a whole plethora of things, whether it's behavior or check-in, check-out, tardies, attendance, everything. And then, of course, with our counselors as well, we have care cards that the students can come in and fill out if they want to meet with them. BAR, as we talked, has a lot of research, over 20 years of research for the success of that program, and we're pretty excited. We did have our welcome call with that, and our BAR coordinator is Mr. Hoppy, and our focus this year is going to be training our fifth grade teachers and doing some of those I-times and big block meetings with them. We do have our 2-day implementation training set up for the 21st and 22nd of November, which is the 2 days right before Thanksgiving break. With that, there's a whole lot of positives that, like Pete said, we're doing these things, but it's supposed to wrap it all together. So it's supposed to help our academic outcomes. It's supposed to help with less behavior referrals. It's supposed to help with relationships between staff and staff, between students and students, and between staff and students as well, which ultimately helps with the culture and positivity of the building. Year 2, the focus is supposed to be on those effective team meetings like Pete talked about, as well as addressing trauma through the BAR program. And then the 3rd year, fostering resiliency as well as reducing substance use through BAR, which I think all of those things are really great for all of our buildings, but I am excited for the middle school for all of those areas as well. So our hope is once we get everybody trained, those 2 days that we can start implementing that in December and for sure semester 2.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
I got one question. I don't know if you can answer it or not. Do you know if college education programs are starting to train their teachers in the science of reading?
They are starting
It
to
seems
change
like
some
if
of
they
that.
come out and already know it, we wouldn't have to spend so much time training teachers. So.
Yeah.
Are
There
we-
were, go ahead.
Are we still using NWA data? As far as finding areas that need emphasis? Are we doing mid-year NWAs too? Good.
NWA is the one universal we have K through 12.
Yeah.
Good. Thank you, guys. Appreciate
Thank
it.
you.
Thank you very much.
Next item is approval of the consent agenda. There was one late addition we had to add just before the meeting. That was to approve myself to be on the SWWC board, so that has been added. So we need a motion,
I'll second.
a motion by Sarah Runcie and seconded by Bill Mosul to approve the consent agenda. I'll call for the vote. That is approved. Next item is our financials. We will just say they're, I'll make a motion to approve them. Dion's not here.
Second.
Deanne's not able to join us this afternoon, but he did have these out and sent them to Sarah ahead of time to review as well. So he didn't have anything specific to call out in them.
Okay, there's a motion by myself and seconded by Sarah Brink. I put the wrong Sarah in there. There we go. Any further discussion? I'll call for the vote. And that is approved. The treasurer's report is there for your reading. We'll move on to item number 19. Board forum, any reports or updates from the board?
There was the Community Services Advisory Board meeting last week, I believe. Last week, my weeks are kind of blending together. The one thing I want to point out is the swimming pool tax referendum is going to vote in November. So I would just encourage people to get out and get the information on that and vote. It's an important process for the city of Marshall. So I would just encourage all of that information for people to get their hands on.
Is that the only thing on the ballot?
Yes.
Yeah. The, I think one thing that hasn't been really clear is that what we're asking for is an extension of what's in place already.
Yes.
And I don't know if our public fully understands that.
Hopefully, if they can go to look at the information, that'll be made
Yeah,
clear.
I know
Have
what
to
you're
do it.
saying.
Yeah, and early voting is open, so you can vote at the courthouse.
I
no
voted
waiting.
early.
Yep, no waiting, so just encourage people to check it out and get the information for our community.
Thank you, Sarah. Item number 20, the administrator's report. Jeremy.
All right, yeah, a few things to share with you guys today. In my report, I first called out, and I've got some pictures attached to the report. The CTI, this Career and Technical Institute, we are wrapping up construction there. We expect to have occupancy, if not this week, by early next week. We actually have scheduled our move-in date to be on Monday. the 23rd to get furniture and such, start to set up in there. This last couple weeks has been a lot of fun. Every time you go out there, you see something big, and it's changing, and it's really feeling good out there. The few pictures attached, you can review those. I would like to, at the next board meeting, suggest we do a board tour following the board meeting, that we go out there and walk through, so I can show you guys the final product. Classes will start there the first day of quarter two, so November 6th will be the first day of classes at the new center. I also want to call out the CTE celebration that we recently held at our homecoming football game. We celebrated CTE education in general, but specifically we had a check presentation from T-Mobile. We received a hometown grant in the amount of $50,000. That was a really fun event. Even though it rained as we were getting set up and kind of put a little bit of a damper on it, we were able to just invite some of our donors up to join us in the suite and enjoy the football game. And we had some treats and stuff up there that was sponsored by Pride and the Tiger and T-Mobile as well. So that was good. We have a lot of donors that have stepped up, and really appreciate that support for this project. Early childhood, Tiffany shares ECFE is offering a number of events this fall. We have a few seats available in some different classes yet. Families that are wanting to learn more about ECFE events should reach out to the early childhood office and get signed up. There's a lot of things coming up here at the end of the year yet for early childhood. She also shares that Help Me Grow referrals continue to keep the early childhood special ed department busy. We see a lot of referrals coming through there. They have started doing some screening in early childhood for kindergarten students that hadn't been previously screened. And actually today, they started the early childhood screenings again on the regular schedule. Those will be taking place every other Monday. So if there's a family that needs to get their child screened, either reach out to early childhood, or they will be contacting you to work that out as well. Parkside, Darcy shared a few things about the Star Writer, like she talked about this afternoon. They're developing student writing compositions, a goal at Parkside this year, specifically looking at handwriting. So in that area, they have one student they're featuring each month as a star writer. They have a board right when you come in the entryway where they'll recognize a student, and she talks about the star that lights up and stuff like she mentioned here. So fun event taking place there. Another thing that Darcy shares, something new they're doing this year, just as we're changing our reading instruction to help parents know what's happening. We know that kindergartners, first graders probably don't come home and talk a lot about what the reading lesson looked like that day. They probably hear more about FIAD and lunch, but Darcy would like a chance to share that with parents. So at conferences, her and Emily Carroll will be offering 3 different 30-minute sessions during each conference night, just to walk parents through what happens in those instructional blocks and help them see what's taking place there and how they can support their kids at home. Southview's report, Pete shares that third graders will be visited by the fire department this week. We had just had Fire Prevention Week, the importance of fire safety, and the smokehouse, and the, what's the fire hydrant guy that comes in the classrooms? Pluggy. I think it's Pluggy. Visits the classrooms, and that's always fun for the kids to get that event. Also shares this is the first year of implementing IXL math within the building at Southview. Their goal is to aim for 40,000 questions answered, and the kids are off to a great start. So that's going well. He has a graph in there to show you kind of where the kids are doing with that. Fun event that took place just recently. SMSU women's basketball team showed up during recess and surprised the kids on October 11th for SMSU Day of Service. Those little things like that are so much fun for our kids, to get college kids to come and just spend recess with them. That was a lot of fun. Middle school report, Paula shares that on September 27th, 5th grade students had the opportunity to attend the environmental fair at the Lyon County Fairgrounds. Students participated in a number of sessions, including recycling glaciers, soil wetlands, drones, trees, stream tables, all sorts of different things that they did at that environmental fair. A fun event for the kids. She also shares that they had their Under the Sea dance. By happen chance, it fell on homecoming week, so that was fun. Middle school kids had a homecoming dance as well. They did 5th and 6th graders first and kind of cleared out the cafeteria and brought 7th and 8th graders in later. They had pizza, water, and had music and stuff for the kids to dance. They said the kids learned some new dances, like the electric and cha-cha slides, which maybe you guys have heard of before. Just new to our kids. October 6th, middle school and Maytech also hosted a program aimed at educating students about dangers of substance abuse. It was called Change the Outcome. It was a very well-received program, just informing kids about the dangers of substance use. High school has a lot of things in their report. During the week of October 2nd, it was homecoming week. They had activities all week long. Minnesota National Guard paid a visit with some different things for the kids to do. On Friday, they had planned the regular grill out that we've been doing the last number of years. It ended up being a grill in because it was raining. But we had that for the kids, had coronation in the afternoon, so all the students could attend. That was at 2:30 that afternoon. And then we had the football game, and following that Friday night, Friday was just a big day. We had over 550 kids attend the dance Friday night. So they had a fun day on Friday. Career Expo was September 27th. That was at SMSU. It's a regional event that's held both in Marshall and Worthington. The Marshall event had 75 exhibitors, a variety of firsthand experiences. It's a really great event for kids to get to learn a little bit about possible careers in the region. They had over 1,400 kids attend that event in Marshall. So we walked all of our kids across the street and got to attend that event right here in town. Another kind of exciting thing happened in high school, the employability skills class. So it's a group of students with special needs. They have partnered with Chartwells at SMSU to provide students in that class with real-world working opportunities. These students attended the PAYS Lab at the middle school last year. They came over and were part of that program. And this year they're ready for something extra. So they are working to establish what they're calling the Tiger Cafe. It's going to provide staff with a variety of different seasonal coffees and drinks. Students are taking the lead on this and running at the high school, all in conjunction with that class. So big thanks to Nicole Jans and Gretchen Stelter for putting that on. It's a lot of work and a lot of effort to find donations and sponsors and grants to get the equipment together, and just a lot of work behind that, but a great experience for our kids. Maytech shares that students got off to the year with a great start. As of October 1st, they had 50 students enrolled attending classes. The first 3-week grading window was recently completed. They had 211 classes being taken, with 147 of those being passed, so 66.5% pass rate, which is really good at our Maytech site. She also shares that students in welding, CNA, and advanced automotive are really excited to get out to that new site. They signed up for those classes, ready to go to the new location. It wasn't quite ready at the start of the year this fall, but knowing that we are going to be there by November 6th, the kids are excited to get there. Activities, Mitch shares activities are going well, wrapping up soon for the fall already. We're wrapping up. He calls out a special shout out to Jesus Reyes. He's one of our Parent Student Connectors who is also an assistant coach with our soccer team. He has been named the section assistant coach of the year for a second year in a row. So congratulations to Jesus on that. He also just shares that registration for winter activities is live and kids are getting signed up for all the winter activities. It's that time of year. Beth shares in hers, we're partnering with SMSU this year. It's something brand new. As we've talked about just the shortage of substitutes specifically, and how we struggle to find people able to do that or willing to do that in our schools. We're going to partner with SMSU. SPED 290, it's a class that all education majors are required to take. In that class, they're required to have 15 hours of field experience. So students in that class, their 15 hours of field experience starting this year are going to be, they sign up with us to become substitute paraprofessionals. They'll come over, if they come that day and we have a para sub opening, which we have almost every day, they will spend their field experience time subbing, getting paid for that time. What a better experience for the kids to learn, or for those students to learn what special ed is like in the schools, and to actually be real hands-on and serving in that role. And then if they should come on a day when we don't have any openings, they would observe and shadow a teacher. Of course, they wouldn't get paid for that because it's not filling a position, but they would still be available. So we'll work very closely with SMSU. Beth went over and visited the class and met with the students in that class and just shared with them what that will look like and what that will feel like. And then they'll go back and visit with our para mentor, with Katie Bow, and they'll go and actually give this class an idea of what to expect when they're in the classrooms when they come and work with our kids. So it's beneficial to both us and the SMSU group. So we're really looking forward to that opportunity. Another thing, Beth has been working with the Service Cooperative to bring a regional training around multicultural education that's going to happen right here in this room. We'll be bringing Amy Young. She's the EL specialist from MDE. They're using our room to offer a class on how EL teacher work connects to the new READ Act. We're excited to be able to host that here at Marshall Public Schools and bring in teachers from all around the region to talk about EL education and how that all fits together. Jackie shares in hers an additional position posted this year for Parkside because of the increased number of students. Had a large group of kindergarten students transition into the building, with about 35 students at the kindergarten level, just needing a lot of support. So we brought in that extra teacher at that level, and that's fitting right in and meeting that need. She also shares that the Parkside team has been working to collaborate with the general ed teachers to provide more consistency for students with special needs. Collaboration and communication are vital to student success, including that ongoing collaboration are related service providers such as physical therapy, occupational therapy, speech language, and the developmental adaptive physical education programs. We're really working very closely with the classroom teachers instead of having everything be pulled out and separate. Mary Kay's report, she shares fall NWA is now complete, NWA window closed on that October 13th. Site assessment coordinators are working to coordinate all of the testing at different buildings. Next testing window for NWA is December 11th through February 12th. And we're using the NWA results to measure QComp goals and target grade level proficiency, as well as applying interventions within the buildings. Finally, in Dion's report, he shares that after permit and material delays, the storage shed out at CTI site, it's a big shed that in the back that actually was part of it blew away, most of it blew away in a storm. That is coming along nicely. We are scheduled to have all the concrete poured and the building completely enclosed by November 1st. He also shares that the legislature recently passed earned safe and sick time legislation that has a January 1st start date. A lot of changes with that and how that works. I know we've had some questions from staff about that. We're working out some details, and information will be coming out to staff in the near future on how that will affect employment at Marshall Public Schools and just how the sick time will work. That's what I have, Matt.
Very good. Thanks, Jeremy. Next item, number 32, is discussion items, the second review of policies 413 to 03. Or is that just one policy?
Just
Okay.
one.
Any questions on that? Next item is the first review of policy 413-05. Any questions on that one?
This one just more and more every year becomes relevant to the expectations in communicating electronically. So thinking about in the classrooms, how do we use even social media and such to apply to classrooms? So one that we pay a lot of attention to.
Next item is October 23 enrollments.
Yeah, October 1st is always the date we use as our enrollment base for the year. So I wanted to just share these numbers with you, a few different columns on there, and she's got up on the screen. We often hear the question, what does enrollment look like? And it really depends on how you look at it. I think overall enrollment, I would say we're holding steady. If you compare our current class sizes, and you can see on here by grade level, and then at the bottom by building, the orange row compares to where we ended the year last year. So if we compare where we are right now to where we ended the last school year, we're up by 35 kids across the district. If you look at where we were at October 1st a year ago, we're down 30 kids from then. So it's not just an easy how many kids are there. Also, when the state counts at the end of the year how many kids or what our final enrollment was, they look at the amount of time they were enrolled. So we have a very what's the word I'm looking for? We have students that move around, very fluid population. We have a lot of students that are coming and leaving, and there isn't I get the question, where is everyone going? Well, it's not a consistent spot if somebody leaves or somebody comes. We just have a lot of new to country students even that come in, and sometimes they come in and they find this isn't going to be a permanent home for them, so they're here for a while and then they leave or move on. But all in all, I think the answer to the question of where we are with enrollment, I'd say we're holding pretty steady. Certainly look at the high school. The numbers are really big at the high school this year. We're at 919 kids as of October 1st. That's a lot of kids at the high school this year. Middle school is down. Our 5th grade class that came in, that's one of our smaller classes this year in the district. And the 9th grade class, that's 8th graders last year, they're one of our bigger classes in the district. So, but enrollment overall looks good.
Thank you. Next item is our action item, approval of the site continuous improvement plans for this year. I'll need a motion.
So moved. 3 of us. Pick one.
Motion by Bill Moso and seconded by Bill Swope to approve the site continuous improvement plans. Any discussion on those?
Sure. Our presentations this afternoon are really geared at sharing the gist of what's going on in those plans. High school, Maytech, and early childhood will present at different times throughout the year too, so you'll hear more from them as well. But a lot of really good work taking place at the buildings.
We'll call for the vote. And that is approved. And that is all we had. The meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone.